Hello everyone, this is Shyle Vandewalker, and today we will be looking at a photo story of how to replace a freewheel and chain on a bicycle. This video will hopefully teach you some mechanics as well as fulfill a requirement for a journalism class I'm taking at IPFW. The freewheel is the set of 6 gears that are attached to the hub. They're threaded on. It's what allows you to pedal easier or harder depending on if you're on flat land or going up a hill. So if you look at the top of the freewheel here, you notice that the teeth are still flat. That means that really I could have just cleaned it up and put it back on and it would still have worked okay. But freewheels are only about $14 a piece, and since I'm replacing the chain anyways, I figured why not replace the freewheel as well. This particular freewheel is made by Suntour. You can tell it's etched right in there, and that will help you figure out which tool you need to remove it. And every freewheel is a little bit different. They take a special tool to remove. The Suntour one has 2 little notches that you can see right beside the axle on the opposite sides of each other. So there's a tool that you have to buy that has 2 teeth that fit into those that will allow you to unthread the freewheel from the hub. Here's the tool that we're going to use to remove our freewheel. It's made by Park Tool, the FR2. This is the same one that you'll use to remove any Suntour freewheel. I picked it up at Summit City Bikes in Fort Wayne. It was about $12.95. As you can see on the top of it, it has those 2 little teeth. Those are going to fit nicely into the notches of our freewheel, like so. Next, you want to take your quick release skewer and tighten that down onto the tool, holding it in place. Once you have your quick release skewer tightened onto the tool, it's time to find the proper tool to remove it. You could try using a wrench, but that's not the easiest way. The best thing to use is a bench vise. If you don't have a bench vise available to you, you could try using the wrench. You can try using a long-handled adjustable wrench, something that will give you enough torque to remove the freewheel. Oftentimes, especially on older bikes, the freewheel is going to be very stuck on there from years or decades worth of use. So here we have the freewheel removal tool clamped into the teeth of the vise. Now all you have to do is grab the wheel and turn it, and it will loosen from the threads of the hub. And once you have it released from your vise, just take out your quick release skewer and then loosen it up the rest of the way by hand. With this particular freewheel, it's in decent shape, so I cleaned it up after uninstallation and I added it to my parts box. It's always good to have a spare parts box laying around. You never know when you'll need something, especially if you're working on bikes all the time. Now that you have the threads of your hub exposed, you want to make sure those are cleaned up nicely. You're going to be threading your new freewheel on there, and you don't want anything in that connection, any grit or dirt or anything like that. Now, as with anything mechanical, you want to make sure that your threads are well greased, so I picked up my Park Tool grease. And you want to work it into the threads of the hub. Then you want to get out your new freewheel. This particular one is a Shimano 6-speed. The one I was replacing was also a 6-speed, so it should be a nice fit. And then you want to take the grease and work it into the threads of the freewheel as well. Then you simply hand tighten it onto the hub. Get it on there nice and tight. And you have a new freewheel. Now you don't really have to tighten it other than hand tight, because the pressure of you pedaling will actually tighten it onto the hub. Here's our rear cluster after installation. I also added a new chain, which is a fairly easy process, and I did have to adjust the derailleur a little bit to be able to make it jump to that last gear, that biggest gear, as it's a little further out than what the previous one was. That's also a pretty simple process, but it is something that you really need to make sure that you have done, and if you're not confident doing it, make sure you take it to a bike shop to let them do it. Now that you've got your bike all back together, you can hit the trails. If you're here at IPFW, there's a nice bike path that will lead you in one direction towards downtown Fort Wayne, or if you take it the other direction towards Shove Park. They're still working on that part. It's gravel as of yet, but it should be cement by next summer, and it should make for some great riding. Here's a nice view from under the bridge heading towards Johnny Appleseed Park. The bike that we were working on today is a Ross Paragon. It's from the mid-'80s. It's served me pretty well so far. It's definitely much smoother and a lot quieter with the new freewheel and chain installed, and I expect to get many more years out of it. So that concludes today's presentation. I hope you all enjoyed yourselves. I hope you learned a thing or two. And if you have a bike yourself, I hope you'll be inspired to do your own maintenance. It can be a really rewarding feeling. We'll see you all again next time.